Hi students, today we are going to see History Unit 3, Emergency of New Kingdoms in South India, later Cholas and Pandyas. So last chapter we have seen the North Indians, the emergency of new kingdoms in North India. Now we are going to see the emergency of new kingdoms in South India, later Cholas and Pandyas. In this lesson, the learning objects are to trace the origin of the later Cholas and the later Pandyas, to know about the prominent ruler of both the kingdoms, to acquaint with their administrative systems, to understand the social, economic and cultural development during their regions. So in these lessons we are going to see about Cholas and the later Pandyas and their ruler kingdoms and their administrative systems, economic, social development when they are ruling the empire. So students, let us shall we go our lesson?
Going to see the Chola Empire or the Chola dynasty. The Chola dynasty believed to have originated from the fertile valley of river Kaveri. By the turn of 8th century, there were three prominent kingdoms of the south: the Cheras, the Pandyas and the Cholas. The Cholas were considered the most powerful of the three. The year 985, one of the greatest king of southern India ascended the throne, Rajaraja Cholan I, also known as Rajaraja the Great, who defeated Eastern Chalukyas of Vengai, the Pandyas of Madurai and the Ganges of Mysore. His campaign of expansion included the capture of Sri Lanka, which remained under Chola rules for 75 years. He also conquered the island of Maldives and even sent missions to Indonesia. Being an able administrator and great lover of architecture, he commissioned the building of magnificent temple of Tanjavur named Rajarajeshwaram after him. Rajendra Chola the heir and son of Rajaraja Chola I took over the kingdom after his father's death and was an able ruler just like his father. His greatest achievement included the conquest of Andaman and Nicobar Islands. He conquered lands right up to the banks of river Ganga. From the holy river, he collected the sacred water in golden pots and poured into the tank called Chola Ganga. He then adapted the title Gangaikondan, which means the victory of Ganga. The period under his regime came to be known as the Golden Age of the Cholas. Art, music, dance, poetry, drama, sculpture, painting, philosophy and religion all reached new heights. Temple was a center of all activities where the courtyard served as a school for students which taught ancient Vedas and scriptures. It was also built to be used as a shelter by people in case of an emergency. The Cholas continued to leave much emphasis on architecture. Magnificent temples were built. The Brihadishwara temple at Tanjavur is a prime example. And another famed art form of the time were the carved bronze statue. The Nataraja and the Ardhanarishwara are the famous example of this art form. The Eastern Chalukyas and the Cholas had intermarried through generation and thus new clan was born. Rajendra Chola's daughter was married to Chalukya's prince Vimaladitya. That son was Rajaraja Narendra, who married the daughter of Rajendra Chola named Amanga Devi. And the son was Kulotunga I, or the star of the dynasty. Under his rule, Ceylon gained independence from the Chola rule. His regime was of peace and prosperity. Trade with Southeast Asia arose with many diplomatic missions sent to China. Around the year 1180, however, the Chalukyas Cholas rule lost control of Vengai to Western Chalukya king Vikramaditya VI. The future Chola kings all faced struggles in one way or the other. then were constantly assaulted. The year 1279 marks the end of Chola dynasty when King Maravarman Kulasekara Pandyan I defeated the last king Rajendra Chola III and established the rule of Pandyas in present-day Tamil Nadu. We are going to see about its administration. The central administration was in hands of king. As the head of the state, the king enjoyed enormous powers. The king orders were written down in palm leaves by his officials or inscribed, that is, written on the temple walls. The kingship was hereditary in nature, that is, after father, his son will be the next king. The ruler selected his eldest son as the heir apparent, that is, for next king. He was known as Yuvaraja. The Yuvarajas were appointed as governors in the provinces mainly for administrative training. Chola rulers established a well-organized system of administration. The empire, for administrative convenience, was divided into provinces or mandalams. Each mandalam was subdivided into nadus. Within each nadu, there were many kurams. Kurams are group of villages. The lowest unit was the grama or a village. Next, we are going to see the local governance of Chola dynasty. Local administration worked through various bodies such as Ura, Sabaya, Nagarettar and Nattar. The Ura, who were landholders, acted on as spokesman in the Ur. Sabaya in Brahmin villages also functioned in carrying out administrative, financial and judicial functions. Nagarettar administered the settlement of traders. However, skilled artisans like masons, blacksmiths, goldsmiths, weavers and potters also lived in Nagaram. Nattar functioned as an assembly of Nadu and decided all disputes and issues pertaining to Nadu. The assemblies in Ur, Sabha, Nagaram and Nadu were worked through various committees. The committees took care of irrigation, roads, temples, gardens, collection of revenue and conduct of religious festivals. Next, we are going to see about Uttaramerur inscriptions. Uttaramerur, presently in Kanjipuram district, was a Brahmadeya village, that is, the land given by the king as a gift to Brahmins. Gives detailed description of how members were elected to the committees of village sabha. One member was to be elected from each ward. There were 30 wards in total. The eligibility to contest was to men in age group of 35 to 70, well versed in Vedic text and scriptures, and also owned land and house. The process of election. The name of the qualified candidate from each ward were written on the palm leaf slips and put it into a pot. The eldest of the assembly would engage a boy to pull out one slip and declare his name. Various committees were decided in this way. Revenue. The revenue of the Chola state came mainly from the land known as Kanikadan. The Chola rulers carried out an elaborate survey of land in order to fix the government's share of the land revenue. 1/3 of produce was collected as land tax. It was collected mostly in kind manner. In addition to land tax, there were taxes on profession and tolls on trade. Social structure based on land relation. The Chola rulers gifted tax-free lands to royal officials, Brahmins, temples called Devadana villages and religious institutions. Land granted to Jain institution was called Pallichandam. There were also of Velan Vagai land, and the holders of this land are called Vellalas. Ullukudi, a subsection of Vellalar, could not own land but had to cultivate Brahmadeya and Velan Vagai lands. The holders of Velan Vagai land retained Melvaram, that is major share in harvest. The Ullukudi got Keelvaram, that is the lower share in harvest. Adimai, that is slaves, and Panisai Makkal, that is laborer, occupy the lowest rung of society. Rung is level. In the intermediate section came the armed men and traders. Next we are going to see the irrigation of Cholas. Cholas gave importance to irrigation. The 16-mile-long embankment built by Rajendra Chola in Gangaikonda Cholapuram is an illustrious example. Vatti Vaikal, a crisscross channel, is a traditional type of hastening rainwater in the Kaveri Delta. Vatti is a drainage channel and a Vaikal is a supply channel. The commonly owned village channel was called Ur Vaikal. The Nadu level Vaikal is referred to as Nadu Vaikal. The turn system was in practice in distributing water. That is, they distribute water in turns. Religion. Chola rulers were ardent Saivites, that is the follower of Lord Shiva. Hymns in praise of deeds of Lord Shiva were composed by the Saiva saints. The Nayanmas, Nambi Anda Nambi codified them, which came to known as the Tirumurai. Temples. The Chola period witnessed an extensive construction of temples. The temples in Tanjavur, the big temple Tanjavur, Gangaikonda Cholapuram and Darasuram are the repository of architecture, sculpture, paintings and iconography of the Chola art. During Chola period were not merely a places of worship as we seen on the video. They were the largest landholders. Temples promoted educational and devotional form of art such as dance, music and drama. The staff of the temples included temple officials, dancing girls, musicians, singers, players of musical instruments and the priests. Next is Cholas as patrons of learning. Chola kings were great patrons of learning. Rajendra I established a Vedic college at Yennayiram, now in Viluppuram district. There were 340 students learning the Vedas, grammar and the Upanishad under 14 teachers. This example was later followed by his successors, and a resultant 2 more such colleges had been founded at Tirubhuvanai near present-day Puducherry and Tirumukkudal in present-day Chengalpattu district in 1048 and 1067 respectively. The great literary works Periya Puranam and Kamba Ramayanam belong to this period. Next we are going to see trade of Chola kingdom. The trade was carried out by 2 guild-like groups, Anjuvanattar and Manigramattar. Anjuvanattar comprised West Asians, Arabs, Jews, Christians and Muslims. Manigramattar were inland traders. Both groups merged under Ainutruvar and Disai Airettu Ainutruvar. Ainur operated through overseas trade with Southeast Asian countries. Elephant tusk, coral, transparent glass, betel nuts, cardamom, opaque glass, cotton stuff with colored silk threads were imported. Items exported were sandalwood, ebony, condiments, precious gems, pepper, oil, paddy, grains and salt. Next we are going to see part 2 of the lesson, the later Pandyas. The Pandyas. One of the three ancient kingdoms in south of India, whose is the Pandyan kingdom, who ruled over Tamil Nadu until the end of 15th century. Korkai was their capital, but then the capital was moved to Madurai. The Pandyas expanded their kingdom and controlled the districts which were known as Madurai and Tirunelveli. Tamil Nadu is divided between the Pallavas and Pandyas. Kadingan recovered Pandya territory from the Calabras towards the close of 6th century. The Pandyas excelled in trading through the seas from Dhanushkodi and Pumbuhar, which spread as far as Rome and Greece, all the way up to China, Malaysia and Maldives. The Pandya produced the finest pearls along the South Indian coast. The illustrious ruler of second Pandya kingdom was Sadayavarman, also called as Jatavarman Sundara Pandyan. He brought the entire Tamil Nadu under his rule. There were 2 or 3 co-regents, that is co-rulers, who ruled simultaneously along with Sundara Pandyan were Vikrama Pandyan and Veera Pandyan. After Sundara Pandyan, Maravarman Kulasekaran ruled successfully for a period of 40 years. He had 2 sons. The king appointed Veera Pandyan as a co-regent, that is co-ruler, provoked the other son Sundara Pandyan, who killed his father Maravarman Kulasekaran. His 2 sons Sundara and Veera fought against each other. Veera Pandyan won and firmly established in his kingdom. Sundara Pandyan fled to Delhi and took refuge under the protection of Alauddin Khilji. This provided the opening for the invasion of Malik Kafus. After Malik Kafus' invasion, the Pandya kingdom came to be divided among the number of kings from the main ruling Pandyas family. Next we are going to see Pandyas polity and society. State. Pandya king preferred Madurai as their capital. Madurai has been popularly venerated, that is known as Kudal. The kings are traditionally revered as Kudal Kun, Kudal Nagar Kavalan. The Pandyas derived the military advantage over their neighbors by means of their horses. They imported these horses through Arabs with whom they had commercial and cultural contact. Polity. The king claimed that he was ruling according to Manu Sastra. Kings and local chiefs created Brahmin settlements called Mangalam or Chaturvedi Mangalam with irrigation facilities. The actual land owning groups are described as the Bhumi Puttirar, otherwise called the Vellalar. Historically, they were locals and hence they were referred to as Nattu Makkal. We are going to see royal officials of Pandyas. A band of officials executed the royal orders. The Prime Minister was called Uttara Mantri. The historical personalities like Manika Vasagar, Kulasirayar and Marankari worked as ministers. The royal secretariat was known as Eluthu Mandapam, where the royal officials meet. The titles of military commanders were Palli Velan, Parandakan Palli Velan, Maran Adithan and Tennavan Tamilvel. Next is administrative divisions. Pandya Nadu as in Chola state consisted of many provinces known as Valanadus, which in turn were divided into many Nadus and Kurams. The administrative authorities of Nadus were the Nattas. Nadu and Kuram contained settlements like Mangalam, Nagaram, Ur and Kudi, where different social groups inhabited. Next is village administration of Pandyas. An inscription from Manu, Tirunelveli district dated AD 800 provides an account of village administration. It looks similar to Chola governors that included village assemblies and committee. Both civil and military powers seem to have vested in the same person. That is, civil and military is taken care by one person. Next is irrigation. The Pandya rulers created a number of irrigation sources on either side of rivers Vaigai and Tamirabarani channels leading to irrigation tanks were built. In southern Tamil Nadu, like the Cholas, Pandyas introduced the new irrigation technology. Irrigation works were done by local administrative bodies, local chiefs and officials. Repairs were mostly undertaken by local bodies. Sometimes traders also dug out tanks for irrigation. Religion. Pandyas extended patronage to Vedic practices. Velvikudi copper plates as well as inscriptional sources mention the rituals like Aswamedha Yaga, that is, Yaga conducted with the help of horses, Hiranyagarbha and Vachapeya Yaga conducted by every great Pandya king. Temples of both sects, that is Saivism and Vaishnavism. Saivism is the followers of Lord Shiva and Vaishnavism, who is the followers of Lord Vishnu, were patronized through land grant, tax exemption and renovation. Nayanmars and Alvars combined contributed to the growth of Tamil literature and spiritual enlightenment. The Bhakti movement of the time prompted the heterodox scholars for a debate. Many instances of the defeat of Buddhists and Jains in such debates are mentioned in Bhakti literature. The Pandya kings of the period supported and promoted Tamil and Sanskrit. Temples. Medieval Pandyas and later Pandyas did not build any new temples but maintained the existing temples, enlarging them with addition of gopuras and mandapas. The monolithic mega-size ornamented pillars are the unique feature of medieval Pandya style. The sculptures of Shiva, Vishnu, Kotravai, Ganesha and Subramanya are the best specimens in these temples. Madurai Meenakshi Temple. Pandyas specially patronized the historic Meenakshi Temple at Madurai and kept expanding its premises by adding gopuras and mandapas. Next we are going to see trade of Pandyas. In Kayal, it is a port city, there was an agency established by an Arab chieftain by name Malik-ul-Islam Jamaluddin. This agency facilitated availability of horses to Pandya kings. In 13th and 14th centuries, horse trade became brisk, that is, it was more active. Marco Polo and Vazov state that the kings invested in horses as there was a need of horse for the ceremonial purposes as well as for fighting wars. Those who were trading in horses were called Kudirai Chettis. They were active in maritime trade also. The busiest port town under the Pandyas was Kayalpattinam, now in Thoothukudi district on the east coast. Gold coins were in circulation as the trade was carried through the medium of gold. It was variously called Kasu, Kalanju and Pun. The vast trade in horses of that time has been recorded by Vasa. He writes as many as 10,000 horses were imported into Kayal and other ports of India, of which 1,400 were to be of Jamaluddin's own breed. The average cost of each horse was 220 dinars of red gold.
Now let us see the summary of this lesson. The Cholas and Pandyas are well-known Tamil monarchies. Vijayalayas revived the Chola dynasty. The prominent Chola rulers are Rajaraja I and Rajendran I. The Uttarameru inscriptions provide details of village administration. Kodunko recovered Pandya territory from Kalambras. Ari Kesari, Mardavardhana and the Parlakada Nedunchezhiyan were his two prominent successors. The Hilprecious ruler of later Pandya kingdom were Sadavarman, Sundara Pandyan and the Madhavarman Kulasekara. The maritime trade during Pandyas is highlighted by Marco Polo and the Wasaf. So here we completed the lesson, children. Study well. Thank you, children.